My friends, what's going on, guys? My name's Kai. Welcome to the Sober Living channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. What I love to do on my channel is just give tips, hope, and advice to anybody out there in the world struggling with an active addiction, letting them know that there is hope, there is help, and there definitely is a path to recovery. Guys, when it comes to my sobriety, I am doing fantastic. Today I'm celebrating 377 days sober, and I am so glad that I've been able to bring you guys along for the journey, and I'm so glad that you guys have been able to support me. It's really helped me out a lot, so thank you so much. If you have been following my channel though for the last couple days, you'll know that I've been going through a really bad bout of depression, and it's because of my nightmares, and I am having horrific nightmares, and I've been having these nightmares ever since I got sober and started dealing with a lot of the trauma that I was drinking away. So while dealing with the trauma was good in my awake life, like in my physical life, I guess. It's helped me deal with things and understand things better. In my dream world, it's just entered my dream world and found a new way to torture me, you know. So I talked about the three different things that happened to me in my dreams. I'm either being sexually assaulted, I'm either being sent to prison, or I'm having medical experiments done on me. And I just want to talk a little bit more about that kind of stuff. I'm not really ready to talk about my sexual assault stuff. I'm not really ready to talk about that yet. I think once we get a bigger audience and I can actually reach more people with that story, then I will open up more about it. But until then, I think I'm going to keep it to myself, maybe. Yeah, and I also want to talk to my partner about it first, and I haven't even talked to my family about it. So that is something that I'm not going to talk too much about, other than just acknowledging that, you know, I'm a survivor of it, and that's good. But the other two things I can discuss. So the other two are the medical experiments and the prison. And now, if you guys have followed my channel, which I really appreciate, you'll know that I'm a cancer survivor. And I have a whole playlist of my cancer story, and it was a whole journey for me. And just to make a long story short, when I was young, I had a series of tumors that came up over and over again over the course of about 3.5 years. And then the fifth time the tumor came back, it was actually cancerous, and it destroyed my orbital bone, and it got into my sinus, and it got into the bottom of my jaw, and basically all my teeth fell out, and on this side here, and it basically just deformed my face. You know, I had 2 plastic surgeries to fix it. I have another surgery actually coming up within the next year. It's not the biggest deal, but it's just another surgery, right? So during that time, when I was sick, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And a lot of that time when I was in the hospital, I was attached to machinery. So I was either attached to, you know, the IV tube, or the nurse would constantly come in and do the blood pressure and all of that kind of stuff. I also had a catheter because for the first 2 weeks after my surgery, I was too weak to even leave my bed. So I had that going on. I basically felt like a robot. I also had a feeding tube in, and my jaw was essentially wired shut. It wasn't physically wired shut, but they had to break my jaw here during the surgery. So I wasn't just recovering from this orbital bone removal. What they did is they took a piece of my shoulder, and they actually put a piece of my shoulder into my orbital bone to make a new one. And but during the process, they broke my jaw to fix it because it was full of cancer. And during that time, my mouth, I couldn't open my mouth more than maybe a millimeter or two, like my teeth, at all, for the longest time. For, I would say, about 6 months. It took me 6 months after the surgery to open my teeth enough just to bite my pinky. It was horrible. So I had a feeding tube in the whole time. And there was even one night where it was the only night of my life where I truly felt this. And this was strange because I've had suicide attempts, and even on my suicide attempts, I didn't feel like I was going to die. But there was this one night when I was in the hospital with my cancer, where a piece of phlegm got stuck on the feeding tube, and stuck to my esophagus. And I wasn't allowed to drink any water after the surgery because I had a lot of surgery on my mouth, so I wasn't allowed to drink any water. And I was certain that I was going to choke on it. And the doctor, and they gave me a wand because they wanted to keep moisture away from my mouth area, right? So they gave me like this wand that I could like use to get rid of stuff like that. So I spent, I think, 16 hours that day just sticking this wand, trying to get this piece of phlegm out of my throat here. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't reach it because every time I went down it, I would end up throwing up, you know. And eventually I was becoming exhausted, and I went over to the nurse's station, and I was in a full-blown panic. It was the first time, actually, now that I think about it, it was the first time I ever had a panic attack. And I went up to the nurse's station, and I couldn't even talk, and she gave me a piece of paper to write on. And I remember writing, I think I'm going to die, I'm choking, but she couldn't read the thing, and I started freaking out, and I shouldn't have even been out of my bed in the first place, you know. And the last thing I remember of that was the doctors came, and they put like a cold blanket on me, and they gave me a needle. And the next thing I knew, I was back in my hospital bed, but I was throwing up. And what had happened was they sedated me. They didn't get rid of that piece of phlegm in my throat, and they just put me back to bed. And I ended up throwing up, and I had a feeding tube in, and I didn't have any food in my stomach. So what happened was the feeding tube got coiled, and so I was completely choking on something that was attached to me, and it was like coiled almost like a knot, you know. And the doctor figured out what was going on like immediately, and he said, I'll never forget this, I was lying in bed, right, and he said, Kyle, you have to put your head back, this is going to hurt. And I put my head back, and he took the feeding tube, and he just pulled it out. And if you guys don't know, feeding tubes are actually stitched into your nose. They're not just put in there and left. Once they're put in, they're stitched into your nose. So when he did that, it ripped all the stitches, and I had a nosebleed. It was just awful. So when I have these nightmares, back to my nightmares, sorry about that. When I have these nightmares about these medical experiments and stuff, they're usually about things being like inserted into me or being pulled out of me, like that feeding tube incident. I've also had many incidents because I've been in the hospital for such a long period of my life. I've had so many experiences with nurses that don't know how to put in your IV properly, or don't know how to draw blood properly, or just a lot of inexperience. I've had times where they didn't give me enough sedation and I've woken up at certain points. I've had these horrible things, you know, and then even more embarrassing, you know, I'll share with you guys. I have diverticulitis, and I had to have I've had problems down there with my bowels, and a couple years ago I had to have surgery on it, and that was incredibly embarrassing and intrusive. And just maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago, the same kind of thing happened, and I had to go and get stitches, and it was incredibly embarrassing. And so it's like, I really don't like the hospital, and whenever I have to go to the hospital, I always feel like I'm being humiliated, because of one thing or another, you know. So I feel like maybe if I talk about that more, maybe it'll help me with my dreams and getting over it, maybe. I'm not too sure, but I'm gonna give it a try, you know. The other thing is, when it comes to prison, you know, prison's just, to me, is just scary. It's just the scariest thing in the world, and I'm not necessarily scared of prison about, like, being attacked in prison or, like, being beaten up in prison. That does scare me. Like, that definitely does scare me, but the biggest thing about prison that scares me is what I would become in prison, you know? Like, if something happened and I was there for like 4 months, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? But if something happened and I was sentenced to, let's say, 25 years and I had to be there and there was no chance of me coming out, the things that I would have to do to survive in prison, that's what scares me. The thought of having to join a gang scares me, you know. The thought of just the inner workings of prison, you know. When you've watched enough prison documentaries, when they're actually in the prison and interviewing everything, oh, it's just really scary for me. So I'm not even going to talk about prison anymore. Listen, guys, it's like 5 in the morning here in Canada, and by the time this uploads, it'll probably be like 6 in the morning. I've been up now for like almost 2 days, and I'm so tired, but I'm so exhausted, and I don't want to go to bed because I know that I'm going to have nightmares, and I don't want to go to bed. So all day today, all night tonight, I've just been cleaning my apartment, and so my bathroom is spick and span, my kitchen is spick and span, everything's spick and span except for my living room. But guys, I'm terrified. I really, really don't want to go to bed. Again, if there's anybody out there who's going through the same thing as I am, if you could leave me a comment below on how you're dealing with it, and how, if there's anything that's helped you, I would be very interested in hearing about it. I am going to be starting a diet on Monday, so I'm going to be cutting out all caffeine and all sweets, like sugar-based stuff, after like 6 p.m. Maybe that will help me. I'm not too sure, but if there's anybody out there who has any advice, who maybe has beaten these nightmares, please let me know. I would really, really appreciate it. That would mean the world to me. Either way, guys, as I said, I've been up for way too long, and I gotta get going. I gotta get going because I work, and I'm just really tired, you guys. Alright, wherever you are in the whole wide world, please be safe, please be sober. Oh, and I forgot to mention, guys, if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much. I wanted to mention we are doing a big giveaway. We're doing a giveaway for when we hit 1,500 subscribers. We're doing 3 $25 Amazon gift cards with 3 $25 charity donations, and we're also doing oh, I'm so tired. And then, shoot, guys, sorry. 3 winners will win $25 gift certificate for Amazon and $25 charitable donation to a charity of their choice. The first place winner will win a $50 Amazon gift card and a $50 donation in their choice. If there's any confusion about the 500 subscriber giveaway, that giveaway is finished already. I really appreciate everybody who entered. We did hit 500 and then we dropped under 500. So that 500 giveaway is already done. I can't keep doing it over and over again. Alright, guys, again, wherever you are, whole wide world, please be safe, please be sober. If you're not sober, you know the drill. Have a ride home. Guys, everyone loves you. You want to wake up tomorrow. I want to hear your comments tomorrow. I want to hear that you're safe. Alright? Have a great one. Have a great one. And be safe out there. And also, one last thing. Honestly, one last thing before I go. If you have friends that have like facial deformities, or let's not even say facial deformities, let's say you have a friend that just has something wrong with them, like let's say wabi-sabi. Like for example, I have this blemish on my nose that I've had it since high school, and it's never gone away, and it drives me up the wall. So if you have a friend that has like a little blemish or something like that, don't call them out on it, because it might actually really hurt their feelings. I don't mean to be a big baby or anything, but like, now that I'm an adult, good lord, that stuff hurts. Alright guys, I'm out of here. I promise. Bye.